So you want an N54. I'm about to give you all a buyer's guide on what to look for when you're buying your first N54. What problems you have to look for, what mods you need to do to get the most power out of it, to get the most fun out of the N54. What platform you want to look for. And what 5 websites I use to shop for the N54, or cars in general. I usually use Facebook, Craigslist, AutoTrader, Car Gurus, and eBay Motors. Those are my top 5 that I use when shopping for cars, and today I'm going to show you guys what exactly to look for when you're shopping for a BMW 335 N54. Why the 335 specifically? The N54 actually came in 3 platforms. It came in the 135, it came in the 335, and it came in the 535. I believe there were some versions in Europe that the 7 Series that it also came in, but we're going to look at the 335 because it is the most common platform for the N54. So what is the N54? The N54 is a straight 6 twin turbo engine made by BMW from 2007 to around 2009, 2010, or 2010, 2011. In the middle of 2010, they came out with the N55, which is actually a twin scroll single turbo version of the same engine. But the reason why we want the N54 as opposed to the N55 is because actually BMW, with the earlier model years of the 335, introduced forged internals for the N54. So without further ado, we're going to go to my first website, Facebook Marketplace, to see what kind of deals we can have here. When you want a 335, specifically 335, not a 135 or a 535, but a 335, we want to find not the earliest model year, which is 2007, so we want a 2008 or later, and we want a 2010 or earlier. We don't want anything later than a 2010 because it will come with the N55, and those aren't easily as tunable as the N54. So we're looking for an 08 with less than 100,000 miles because usually these cars start to go around 100,000 miles in terms of all the components around the engine. So basically the N54 is known for being a really stout platform to work off of, but everything around the engine is what actually goes bad. So actually I made a list of things that could go wrong with your N54, and I'm going to list them off for you. There's actually a lot. So the first thing is the electric water pump and thermostat. These tend to go out. When they go out, they leak. You'll typically see a big puddle of coolant around your car, and that's usually what the problem is. The water pump, the timing belt, thermostat, they all go hand in hand. You're gonna have to change them all at once. The high pressure fuel pump goes on these too. There's many symptoms for the high pressure fuel pump. You'll get codes, you'll get your car not being able to start up right, you'll get bad idle, you get a whole bunch of stuff. The high pressure fuel pump on these is one of the weak points, and therefore you probably should get it looked at when you're buying a new or a used, new to you 335. The fuel injectors often go bad. They don't often supply enough fuel for the amount of boost people run, and they overstrain the fuel injectors, making them go bad. They could also clog tube from bad fuel filters, etc., that kind of thing. Your oil filter housing gasket will probably leak. So basically the oil filter housing gasket is located in the front of the engine on top, right where the oil filter is, and there's a gasket that runs the oil. If you have a Sport Package 35, you're going to have an oil cooler, so the gasket actually connects the oil cooler to the oil filter housing gasket and also recirculates oil to the engine. So basically what's going to happen is that the gasket right there on top of the engine, right next to the oil filter, is going to leak, causing oil to get on your serpentine belt, right? The serpentine belt running right below it is going to get chewed up and eaten through the front main seal. And this happens a lot. You can buy a little plate that you attach on your front main seal to actually stop the belt from being sucked in if it gets oily, but again, you're gonna have to install that. These are things you gotta look for. The valve cover gasket. On these, the valve cover gasket leaks. It's a lot of bolts to get it off. You have to redo the gasket when you take it off. When the valve cover gasket leaks, you often see white smoke coming out of the tailpipe. This white smoke could either be caused by the valve cover gasket, or you could have a leaking turbo where the oil lines that are actually feeding the turbo, cooling the turbo off, are actually leaking, causing oil to spill into the turbo and get burned off by the hot exhaust gas. The oil pan gasket can also leak, right? This is on the bottom. Ideally, it would be easy to replace the oil pan gasket on a regular car, but in these cars, your front subframe is actually located underneath the oil pan. So in order to change the gasket, you're going to have to drop the subframe a couple inches. I think you unthread it a little bit, like this much. Drop it enough, then you can slide the gasket underneath. It's not that easy of a job. It's easy if you take off the whole subframe, but a lot of people aren't going to do that because of the extra work. Turbo rattle. So basically when your turbos start to go, the wastegates get a little loose, and when you let off the gas, you can hear the wastegates rattle. It's only noticeable really at slow speeds. It doesn't really have an effect on the driving characteristics or the performance of your vehicle. However, it is annoying to hear. They don't go away. A lot of these were actually replaced under warranty and they were fixed under warranty, but a lot of cars, even after the warranty, even after getting your turbos replaced, the wastegates still rattle. The charge pipe. So the air from the turbo, the compressed air from the turbos gets sent into the intake through the charge pipe. With these turbo cars, the engine bay gets really hot and plastic and heat don't do well together. It makes the plastic very brittle, and often the charge pipe cracks or breaks on these cars, even with stock boost. Once you start running higher than the stock 8 or 7 pounds, 7 or 8 pounds, you're going to run a big risk for cracking your charge pipe, which could detriment from the performance of the car. Boost leaks are never good. Parts of plastic could get sucked up in your intake. It's never good. It's never good to have a broken charge pipe. Replace your charge pipe when you first get it. And lastly, the coolant reservoir. Most cars have a coolant reservoir made of 2 pieces. They're usually bonded together with glue. And so on the 335 and I believe on most N54s or most BMW engines, the coolant reservoir is this 2-piece box that when heated up a lot, because these engine bays get really hot, the glue actually starts to separate, causing the coolant to overflow and leak around the cracks. Easy fix, you just got to replace the box with a new one. For me, I had these other problems. They're not the most common problems, but these are problems I had when I had my N54. I had to replace my radiator. I had to replace all the window regulators. I had to replace the intake. Well, I didn't have to, but I did. You have to replace the crank position sensor. I had to do this twice because I didn't use an OEM part. I had to replace a starter. One day I came out to my car and it just wouldn't start. I didn't know what the problem was. I didn't know if it was my high pressure fuel pump or anything, but I just replaced my starter and it happened to be the problem. And I replaced my clutch. If you get a manual version of these cars, you'll probably expect to get 100,000 miles off a clutch. And if you're going to buy one used, it's probably going to be close to that time. So I replaced my clutch with a 335IS clutch. Can hold more power. It felt about the same in terms of how it engaged, so it was a good deal for me. But basically, getting towards the cars that are for sale on Facebook, after going through all these problems, everything you got to look for, we want to find a car that's less than 10 grand, right? Less than 100,000 miles, and between an 08 and a 10. Right here, I see a couple potential cars. Here is a 100,000 mile car, $5,800 on the cheaper side. There's probably a reason why, right? Looks like it's heavily modified, not heavily, but it has different wheels. It is a base package, not a sport package. You can tell if it's sport or base simply based on the front seats. Sport package will have little extensions for your legs. Base package will have these boring boxy seats. So this would not be that good of a deal. You don't want to get a base car ever, y'all. Do yourself a favor, stay away from the base level cars. You only regret it later when you see someone rolling around their sport package or their M Sport and you're just sitting there in your basic car. You're gonna be sad. Alright, here we have a 09 with 94,000 miles. These are both E90s, by the way, both sedans. You would want preferably an 09 as opposed to an 08 because after 09 they came out with the LCI versions, the facelifted versions. This is a facelifted version, looks pretty nice, automatic. The manuals are usually going to fetch a higher price. I'm not too sure about this car in terms of modifications. It looks like it may have some, or it may just have sagging rear shocks. These 3035s have problems with sagging rear shocks after a while, especially rear-wheel drive versions. I don't know, they like to squat, especially on hard launches. This could be a potential good deal. $6,700 for an 09 with 94,000 miles. This is something you want to look for. For LCI miles, you want an M Sport. If it's pre-LCI, sport package. So just look out for those two things when you're looking out for these N54s. Here's another E90. This is a nice spec. I actually like this E90 a lot. It's black with a brown interior. Sport package. It has sport package seats. As you can see, it has a little bolster right here. Has some mods. It has some custom pedals. Automatic. This is an 09, so it's going to have the new iDrive system. It's going to be pretty good. It doesn't seem to have any problems. Usually you can tell if a car has problems based on the lights. With Beamers, not only you have to look at the lights, but you have to look right here above the gas miles, the next to the park. There would be a little hazard sign, a little warning sign if there's any any little problems with these cars. This one seems to be perfect. 70,000 miles, 2009, 8,900. This is a good deal, y'all. If y'all could get this for the low 8s, high 7s, this would be fantastic. Great spec, clean. All right, here's one. Now, I have a weakness for this spec. This pre-LCI with the style 152 wheels. Probably the best looking spec in my opinion, but that's just because I had one. This one looks like it's a pretty good deal. 7900 08, which means it's going to be a pre-LCI. As you can tell by the tails, it has the old looking tails. It's just basically an old looking car. You can tell it's pretty dated. At least for me, I can tell the difference between LCIs and pre-LCIs very, very easily. They stand out. Pre-LCIs definitely look the age, but the engine is the same. So it's an 08, has the nice wheels. Alright, so we got the sport package interior, which means it probably has the sport package whole as a whole, which comes with suspension and an oil cooler, as well as the interior bits. So this looks like a pretty good deal. I would say because it's a pre-LCI, where the fuck did that go? Because it's a pre-LCI, you could probably get this down into the low 7s, it's around 7,900. Low 7s, high 6s would be a good deal for this car. It says 96,000 miles, but on here it says 112. So you probably need to do some more research, but on paper, good deal. All right, here we have something that's promising. It looks very rough, to be honest. You can tell the license plate has been drilled into this bumper many times. The hood lines don't really line up. It has bad wheels. I don't know what these wheels came off of. Someone put a little M badge grill. This car has been properly messed with, but it is low miles. It is 50,500 miles for an 08. Interior is clean. It's a non-nav base interior car. So this is about as base as you can get right here. No nav, as you can see, no iDrive, and you have the basic seats. Engine bay doesn't look too bad. To be honest, it looks like this oil filter housing gasket's a little leaky. It's kind of oily around the area. This wouldn't be too good of a deal, y'all. That's what I would say. This car has been modified poorly. It has poor taste, poor wheels, poor vent, poor everything. Low miles. They're probably lying about the miles. It's probably 150, to be honest. This car looks kind of beat up for 50,000 miles. You want to find a car that looks good, y'all. Everything comes after how it looks initially, right? You need to find a car that's clean. You need to find an ad that's written well. You need to find an ad where the owner actually cares about the car. That's the hardest part about finding ads. It's finding owners who care, owners who want to sell the car. Because half the people, they put their cars up for sale, but they don't actually want to sell it. Here we go. All E90s today. This one has accident damage. You don't want to really get in anything with accident damage, but it has a clean title. You can still at least look at it. This one is base interior. Y'all, only get sport interior cars. Do not get no base interior car. You're gonna be uncomfortable. You're gonna get packed on by your friends. It's not a good look. Don't do it. That's about all I see on Facebook. Again, I like Facebook because I can negotiate with people. People are usually more personable on Facebook. That's why I use it. Going to Craigslist. I don't like Craigslist as much as I used to. I feel like they really hurt their website by making people pay for ads. It really hurt the business model. Not as many people are going to use this website anymore, and for good reason. 335i xDrive. So this one's all-wheel drive. It's going to be more convenient in the snow and areas where there's bad weather. They don't handle as well as a rear-wheel drive car. That's my personal preference. They feel a little heavier. They move a little slower. But they are more practical. This one is a base interior automatic version. It has iDrive, but then again, it's still a base level car. You don't want a base level car, especially with these wheels. These are probably the ugliest wheels that came on a 335. So this would be an okay deal. $6,600, 128,000 miles is really high for one of these. You don't want to get one with 128,000 miles, especially the turbo hasn't been recalled. This is a little high for me. As I said, I want under 100,000 miles. 6,600 for 128. I say this is more like 500, 4,600 for this many miles. Base level car. Here is a 2010 late model for N54. Under 100,000 miles, 95,000 miles. I really think this could be a potential deal if you could get it in the 7s. 2010 with less than 100,000 miles. Good deal. Again, this is a base level car. We got the base spec seats. We got no iDrive, base level wheels. Nothing really too special about this car. It doesn't even have a good color. This teal turquoise doesn't look that good to me with a beige interior. It's pretty old person spec. You don't really want this car. But if you can get a good deal, say you can get this down to the 7s or maybe in the high 6s, this could be a potential good car. Alright, we have an '08 coupe with 89,000 miles. I like this one a lot. This one definitely looks like a sport package car. It has those sport package wheels. It has a nice color spec. It is black with the brown interior, Dakota leather, black with Dakota leather interior, convertible. Y'all know how I feel about convertibles. I feel like most people sleep on convertibles. It's like getting two cars in one, right? It is an automatic, which means it's not going to be as high or expensive as a manual. Asking 10 grand, it's a little high, okay? You got 89,000 miles, 2008. So this is still a pre-LCI model. Actually, with the coupes, the LCI went all the way to 2009 or 2010, I believe. So this would be just an older model. It has a nice spec, so that's what's going for it. It's clean. It's a convertible. It has relatively low miles, but for 10,000, I think this should be more around 8,500 to low 8s. Let's see. Let's keep scrolling down Craigslist. I see a couple 2007s that maybe could be a possibility if you know what you're getting into. But as I said, I don't recommend getting in 2007s. It's just they're not that good of a car. They're not as good as a car. Here we have an all-wheel drive 2008 coupe, 9,300. It's a little high for 102,000 miles, and a little high for being a base spec car. But then again, you know, it is a coupe. The coupes tend to fetch a higher price than the sedans. They seem to be a little bit more sporty. But 102,000 miles, this should be maybe in the low 7s, high 6s, to be honest. It's clean, I guess, but you know, the wheels are basic. Probably has a basic interior spec. They didn't even show it. I think that's it for deals on Craigslist. I don't see that many, to be honest. I see a lot of N55s that are asking for a reasonable price, but N54s looking for a 2010 or earlier, I don't see that many for a reasonable price. Moving on to AutoTrader. I think AutoTrader will have pretty accurate prices. I feel like AutoTrader will also have pretty good deals. As I said, y'all, stay away from the 07s. You don't want the first model year of any car. There's some deals to be had on AutoTrader, y'all. You just gotta look for them. There's plenty with less than 100,000 miles that are less than 10 grand. All right, look, right off the bat, we got a E90, 90,000 miles, sport package sedan. This would be something that would be a good deal. 90,000 miles for 7 grand. You could probably get this to the low 6, high 5s. Let's see what transmission it has. I believe it's an automatic. Yeah. See, this is an ad you would look for, guys. It's something with a lot of pictures. No interior pictures though, but obviously the owner cares a little bit about the ad and how they sell the car. It's being sold by a dealer, so you know what to think about that. So we have a pre-LCI sport package here, coupe, all-wheel drive. This could be a potential good deal. It's $8,500 for 94,000 miles. You could probably get this down to the 7s. Again, the coupes are usually going to fetch a higher price than the sedans, so you just got to keep that in mind when you're shopping around. Again, this one I saw earlier, 70,000 miles sedan, black on brown. This would be a deal to have, y'all. This is probably one of the best ones I see on here because it's an LCI version, less than 100,000 miles, 70,000 miles for 8,900. That's about as good as you can get. All right, as we creep up to 10 grand, we can see that there are plenty of deals in terms of mileage. A lot of these have less than 100,000 miles. You want to find one really less than 90, less than 80. As I said, y'all, AutoTrader definitely has the deals. They definitely give a good, accurate gauge of how much these cars should be going for. I often see a lot of 07s going for way cheaper than the 08s, 09s, and 10s. So basically, you can get an 07 if you really want to. 07 Sport Package 335 for a good price. You can probably get it for under 6 grand. However, you're going to find a lot of little problems with the car, such as interior parts, little squeaks and rattles. Things aren't going to be working how they used to. So I suggest you just get not the first model year, right? You get an 08. Moving on to Car Gurus. I like Car Gurus simply because they always have the best deals. AutoTrader has a lot of deals in terms of volume, But Car Gurus has the best deals. You will find the cheapest versions of a car on Car Gurus. We got some 335s, 07 early model with some terrible wheels for under $5,000, 241,000 miles. I don't even know how it made it this far, y'all. These cars typically start to break a lot around 150,000 miles. That's when you typically see all the plastic starting to break. That's when the interior starts to fall apart. I wouldn't say fall apart, but you definitely start to notice a declining quality. And so I don't know how this car made it that far. Kudos to the probably the 10 owners that kept this thing alive, you know what I'm saying? As I said, Car Gurus has the deals, but it also, in terms of price, but the miles are way too high. You don't want anything this high. 150, 160, 170. These are all cars that have just seen a lot, okay? You want something with under 100,000 miles, especially with these Beamers. Especially with the 3 Series. 3 Series is like the bottom of the barrel in terms of BMW quality, okay? So you definitely want to get a 3 Series under 100,000 miles. You don't want those problems. Again, another pre-LCI sport package with style 152 wheels. These are a dime a dozen, apparently. But they are probably the best deal. They look the best. This red is pretty cool, too. I haven't seen that many red 335s. Another pre-LCI sport package. Another pre-LCI sport package. Another pre-LCI, another pre-LCI. They're everywhere, y'all. I'm telling you, these are the best deals. If you can get a pre-LCI sport package with under 100,000 miles for under like $7,000, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it a lot. We're creeping up here in price. We're in the sevens now, and it's still way over 100,000 miles. As I said, there's some deals in the beginning, but most cars on on Car Gurus are priced pretty regularly. They just have a bunch of really cheap options in the beginning to get people to get traffic to their site. Pre-LCI sport package. I'm telling you, these are the deals right here. All right, going to my favorite website. Y'all know this is not my favorite website, eBay Motors. I hate eBay Motors. I just go in here to see how much the Garage Queens are selling for. Look, we have an 07 pre-LCI, right? Pre-LCI non-sport package 07. Pre-LCI sport package 07, low miles, 75,000 miles. Low miles. They're asking $8,200. Non-sport package, y'all. This should be a $5,000 car. 75,000 miles, maybe a $5,500 car. But you don't want a base level anything. None of these cars are a good deal. This one, a 2010, $6,200. How many miles does it have? 88,000. It's sitting in grass. It's red with brown. Sport package, good spec. But what is wrong with the car? It looks like it's been sitting for a minute. Look, we got this is the amber hazard sign I'm talking about that you want to look for. I'm guessing it has all the lights on because they didn't want to show it, but they left this. Oh, I could get this for $6,200. Oh, reserve is not met. Man. Scrolling down, I just see way too many double digits. 8,200, 6,200. Those are the only ones I see underneath 10, really. For 335s, y'all, especially 10-year-old 335s, way too high. You don't want to buy anything on eBay Motors. I just go here to look because it's entertaining. But basically, that's it, y'all. I just want to let you guys know that buying an N54 is a lot of work, okay? You're going to have to do a lot of research, and you're going to have to do a lot of due diligence when it comes to looking up what your car that you're potentially buying has wrong with it, what it has done to it, what its maintenance history, its ownership record, everything. This is basically going to be a checklist on what you absolutely have to look for when looking for your 335. These problems may carry over from the 1 Series or the 5 Series, but this is mainly for the 3 Series, okay? The electric water pump and thermostat problems, those leak, and when that happens, you gotta replace it, replace the timing belt, replace everything. It's a big job, okay? You're not gonna want that to happen to you a week after you buy your car. High pressure fuel pump, you're gonna have issues with fueling. It's gonna run rough. It won't start right. It's gonna idle wrong. The fuel injectors often are not going to be able to supply enough fuel for what you're doing. If you're tuning these cars, definitely upgrade the fuel injectors. But if not, they can still clog. They can still fail on you. They have for many people running stock. So just something to look out for. The oil filter housing gasket, okay? You don't want to make sure that it is not leaking, because if it does, you can grenade your engine. If oil leaks on the serpentine belt, it's a high risk that it will end up getting chewed up by your front main seal and it'll actually go into your crankcase, causing terrible problems. You're gonna have to basically get a new engine, put out the car. It's gonna be a lot of work. Valve cover gasket leaks, causing white smoke to come out. That's probably one of the more common ways white smoke comes out. That and your turbos are leaking. The turbo lines are known to leak. Not even the lines, but the inlets, the bungs where they enter in turbos, known to have hairline cracks, hairline leaks, causing oil to get into the turbos, causing your oil to get ignited by the hot exhaust smoke, which means white smoke will also come out of your exhaust. The oil pan gasket, same thing as a valve cover gasket, it leaks. You're gonna have to replace it at some point. It's really hard to replace the oil pan gasket because the front subframe is actually right underneath it, so you're gonna have to drop the subframe a couple inches in order to access. It's like literally this much space to work with when you're trying to replace the oil pan gasket. Or you have to remove the whole front subframe, which is a lot more work than just dropping a couple inches. Turbo rattle. Again, if you didn't get them replaced under warranty, they're probably rattling, or if they were replaced a long time ago under warranty, they're probably rattling. These turbos, the wastegates seem to rattle after a little bit. There are rebuild kits. You can get a turbo rebuild kit to rebuild your wastegates, or you can just deal with it. It only happens at slow speeds. It only happens when you're driving on a bridge or something where you can hear your own car. Doesn't really hurt the performance of the car, just really annoying. Charge pipe, these tend to break because they are pressurized and they are located in a hot engine bay and they are made out of plastic, right? You want to get a metal charge pipe. These aren't that expensive. You can get plenty of aftermarket options for charge pipes. Just go find a metal one. For me, I had to replace my radiator, the plastic inlets and outlets right there at the right angle, the elbow, cracked, causing coolant to just leak everywhere. My window regulator is all broke. I don't know why, but I guess it's the plastic. Intake, I had to replace that. The intake just cracked. It was plastic, broke. Crank position sensor caused the car to idle bad. Caused the car to not be responsive. I just replaced it. Replaced the first time with the Napa part. It wasn't OEM. That shit didn't even work, so I had to replace it with a BMW part. Starter I had to replace because my car didn't start one day. It was kind of hard to replace the starter. You got to take off the intake. You got to get like a right angle ratchet, something that can bend around corners to undo the top bolts. And lastly, I had to replace my clutch. Straightforward job, just took about a weekend, a couple days. It's not that easy. You need a lot of tools, but it can. So that's what I have to say, y'all, about the N54. You'll probably do a lot of research when trying to find one. You want to get the best deal. You want to get one that hasn't been messed with that much. You want to be the one to mess with the car if you're trying to get it for tuning capabilities, or if you're trying to get a good deal. You don't want one that's been messed with previously because you're gonna have a lot of issues in terms of reliability. You don't want that if you want a good daily. So that's it for my video, y'all. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me what car you think I should go shopping for next, and y'all have a good one.